Hey there friends, this is Kristen Fagan with Discover Your Creative Magic. The video earlier this month we did some watercolor mandalas in our sketchbook, and now I'm just going to take this idea and move it on to a canvas today, working with some acrylic paint and some paint pens too. So we are talking about being mindful, being present. I hope you're working on your morning pages. I've been doing a pretty good job of keeping up with them. I've worked on being mindful with my phone this week and even leaving it in my bedroom. I think last Sunday I left it in my bedroom and I didn't even look at it for hours. So I have my notification set to shut off after I've used X amount of time on certain apps, and then also shut off in the evening and come back on in the morning. And so that's been helpful. I've definitely seen a decrease in the amount of screen time on my phone. Of course, I listen to music and podcasts and stuff like that, and that can sometimes jack it up too. But it's been good to be a little more mindful about that kind of stuff, especially when it's so nice out and spring is here. Happy spring. And we can really hopefully get off some of our screens and outside a little more often, right? So I've been carrying around with me my fluorite point. I love this guy. And my amethyst this month to remind me of my mindful mindset. I've been keeping it on my desk during the day. And I actually think I pulled out some colors, and it turns out that most of the colors I was looking at were kind of greens and purples. And so maybe this fluorite is going to be my, and my amethyst here are gonna be my color inspiration for today. You guys can choose to work with different colors if you want to. You don't have to work with the same ones as me. I've got some craft paint, some color shift paint, which my friend Dawn got for me, which is really neat. It's kind of got a metallic-y tone to it, and depending on how you look at it, the color shifts. And I've got a color shift in purple. Actually, I picked up those two first, so I guess that's where my green and purple idea came from. And then I looked over at my fluorite and was like, oh, that's a perfect match. How fun. So a couple of things before we get started. We want to do some breath work, and I just have a nice quote here from Elizabeth Gilbert that says, "You have to participate relentlessly in the manifestation of your own blessings." And one of the ways I participate relentlessly is to show up and create for myself and with you guys. And so even though this is my third video of the week, I was feeling a little run down. I wanted to, for sure, show up relentlessly to be here with you guys to do this painting. I actually have a very small canvas today. That's why I'm sitting in my chair instead of standing. I'm working with this little guy, and it is an old canvas that I just painted white on top, and I'll be doing more layers. So one of the fun things about paint is you can always reuse it. I think this is probably like an 8x8 size. So pretty small for me today, but I think it'll be really nice for the mandala. I like to work in squares when I can, when I work on mandalas, since they are a circular shape. They just really fit squares very nicely, but I've worked on them all different shapes, so it doesn't have to be a square, and you don't necessarily even have to focus in on the middle. You can put your mandala off to one of the sides or in a corner or something like that too. So you can take some artist freedom in deciding where you want to place your mandala art. So before we get too far along, I should probably even talk about what a mandala is. Mandala means circle in Sanskrit, and it's a pattern painted or created in a circular form. So you can do this, and people create them in the sand. They can create them with sand. They can create flower mandalas, which is what some of you guys have been doing this month. And if you make one, please share with the group here. It's nice to see all the different flowers and the petals and how you put them together. It's really cool. It can inspire people for when they actually come to the canvas or their sketchbook, what to create. And it's used throughout the world as a creative process for personal and spiritual transformation, as well as mindfulness, brings you present. And since our theme for this month is mindful, it just works really lovely. A lot of the idea of a mandala is that you work on the individual parts and then you back up and you can see how beautiful it is as a whole. So there's like a sense of wholeness when you create this type of artwork as well. All right, before we get started, let's do a little breath work. So get yourself comfortable, sitting up straight. If you can, feet on the floor, if you can, just to ground you. Go ahead and close your eyes. And we're just gonna breathe in and breathe out. Take some nice, big, deep breaths, calming you and grounding you. And when you breathe in, we're gonna breathe in connection and love. And we're gonna breathe out loneliness and sadness. We are gonna breathe in creative flow and joy. And we are gonna breathe out any judgment and comparison. We're gonna breathe in surrender and trust. And we're going to breathe out any worry and fear. Whatever you create today, let it feel good with your soul. Just allow yourself the time and the space to be here now and give yourself this gift. Let's take another deep breath in, deep breath out. And so we begin. You can go ahead and open your eyes back up again and get your supplies ready. Have some paint, some brushes, some water, paper towels or a rag to clean off your brushes, dry them off. So I just grabbed a whole handful of brushes. I didn't pay attention to what I had. I just a whole slew of them. We've got these curve-shaped, round. These are flat, more flat, and then some smaller rounds and flats here as well. So here are some examples of mandalas from the sketchbook. As you can see, they kind of start off at a small point and then circle their way out. And you can use lines and dots, geometric shapes. You can use nature shapes like feathers or leaves, some moons and stars, circles and eyes, whatever feels good to you. This one I kind of played with a spiral idea and then just worked from there. Whatever symbols and marks feel good to you, that's what you can create. If you're looking for more inspiration and you don't want to look at actual, artwork from other people, there are some fun places and ideas. You can look at tiles and textiles, baskets, flowers, succulents, even, I didn't put on here, even things like shells. Those are all things that have a lot of natural mandalas in them. and they can be a great source of inspiration and something new to look at aside from maybe other artwork, to pull some inspiration from. And I am thinking about actually starting my center with some words in there. And these are some that I was playing with. You can use some of these, or you can come up with one of your own. But since we're talking about being mindful this month, I thought these were some nice ones that can be quoted in the center, and I can either write them with pen, I can, like a gel pen, write them with a paint pen. I can cut them out, words out from a newspaper or magazine or some other thing to, I can even type them up, print it, and then put them here. So lots of different ideas. So Be Here Now was the first one that came up for me. Live every moment, or live in the moment would be good. Eyes wide open. Trust, darling, trust was a cute one. So yeah, and if you don't want to put a quote in yours, you don't have to. You can decide to just do patterns. That would be totally up to you. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create some circles with color, leaving white in between. So for example, have maybe a color in the center, and then I'm gonna leave a white ring, and then do another color, and then leave another white ring. And then we can go in and add our patterns into each of those spaces. I thought that might be a nice way to give us those circular shapes. And you could use things if you want to, like anything household items. This is some tape that you can put down. I have these Softlex beading spools. You might have something else that you can put down as, if you want your circles to be just so. I do like my circles to be a little wonky, so that's not super important for me to use any kind of template, but it might be for you, and then that's always an option. And of course, there's all sorts of stencils out there. So using some sort of stencil as either a starting point, or if you get one that fills up your whole canvas, you can even use a stencil as a guideline to get started, and then use that as a jumping off point for your own work. So lots of different options. If I look at my fluorite here, we start out with the really light green, get a little darker, and then move into the darker and lighter purple. So I think I'll try and mimic that. As much as I can today. So I'm just filling up my palette, which is quite messy. I haven't cleaned out my palette, it looks like, in a little while. I tend to like to let all of my paint dry before I clean it, so that I could just peel it off. So I've got a lighter green, a darker green. Ooh, that's weird. Need to shake that up. A plum purple, and then another purple that is a little bit metallic-y. And I have some white, and I'll use white to create some tints from the color. So you can mix a little bit of white with each of these colors, just to create a little more of a tint. I think I'll pick up just a medium-sized brush, and I'm gonna start with my white and green here. just gonna make it a little lighter to begin, and then I can always darken it up more. I think I gravitated towards green too because it's March. I love green always, but especially love it in March. And so there's my first circle. And then I'm gonna leave some white space and work on another circle going around it. And like I said, I'm totally okay with wonky circles. So you can be too if you want to. It's gonna start to feel a little bit like a bullseye. So now I'm just gonna take some of my darker green and mix it with white. I think I'll add that in there a little bit. This way this color is a little bit different than the center. And then I'm gonna leave a little white and go to the next ring. And then you can totally color in the white parts if you want to too. This is just an idea that kind of stumbled into my head today, and so I decided to give it a try this way. A lot of times I come to the canvas and I just go wild on the background, and then we create our shape and then we color it in, which is a lot of fun. And I like that way of doing it too. But I thought maybe this would feel a little more meditative and mindful of an approach today. So now I have all of these circular shapes to add in my pattern and to use as a guideline for adding in all of these other little shapes and ideas. So I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush, because when you're doing more details, you want to be using something small. And I can start with either white or I want to make it really contrasty, you could use a black, or you can use the opposite color, which I think I'll do that as well. A lot of times I like to start by doing like north, south, east, west, and then I can fill in diagonally, to help me with spacing things out. And then you can kind of fill in the space in between there. You can decide to introduce more colors if you want to. I'm going to try and just stick with these for the moment and see what happens. And the other thing I like to do is if I do lines or dots and I've already kind of spaced them out, then I can use those as a guideline for where I want to put one of my other shapes. So now I'm using the tips of these white little lines here to help me make my triangles. And you can spin this if you're working on a small page or canvas like I am, that's tiny or even bigger. You can spin your canvas around as you work. So as I was saying earlier, mandalas are drawn in a circle, which can lead you to experience a sense of wholeness. And once you get started, after you get through that initial where do I want to begin phase, you move from the thought, rational, intellectual space to more of the intuitive. Especially once you've decided, like, okay, once you decide this is going to be a circle that goes all the way around, you no longer have to make that decision again. You've made it once and now you're just filling it in. So you move from that rational mind to just the intuitive. in traditional mandalas, there is a central focus in the center within a circle, and everything radiates out from that space. The symbolism suggests that there's a center within you, and everything is ideally healed, ordered, and symmetrical within, and it radiates from your center, your core. So meditating while you're doing this, or meditating on your mandalas even later, will bring feelings of wholeness. Now, I do have these greens and purples in my Posca pens too, which are paint pens. And I do like to tend to go over the details with these. I'm just going to add in some extra details. Be kind to your Posca pen and let your paint dry. So make sure you're using it in areas where your paint is dry. Just shake them up, tap them out, and you can go. All right, I might be done. So I'm gonna think about my center here. It's nice and dry. I can either write it in, or I think I will come back and do that part later. Now I can just kind of finish out, pick a color. I'll probably do purple since the ends are more purpley. Let's finish out the side and then I'll add my words in the center after the video and share it with you guys in the group. For the sides, I tend to like to use a big brush, usually a flat brush. Just so I can get all the area nicely. And it generally takes about 2 coats. So if you guys decide to add a quote into yours, let me know which you decided to use. I kind of like things that are short, a couple of words, like be here now, live in the moment, things like that. What little saying will bring you back to being mindful and thinking about being present? And if you don't want to add it on the front, you could always add it on the back too, and just make it like a secret message. Could be as easy as breathe in, breathe out, like we did in the beginning. Just breathe in, breathe out. So when you catch a glimpse of your painting, it just reminds you to stop and take a breath. I've been getting a few headaches lately, and I'm trying to, I should probably look that up actually, what kind of breath work would be good for a headache, because I have a feeling I'm sometimes a bit tight and like tensing up, and then, all right, so I'll just go around and touch this up here. And I think if I did some more focused breath work, maybe that will help keep my headache at bay. All right, I'm gonna stop there on video and I will add in my little quote. I'm gonna probably either do the stamps or cut out some paper and glue it down with, you can use gel medium, you can use Mod Podge or another type of glue. Oh, that was relaxing and a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed painting along with me today and being real present and mindful. I think I was actually thinking I was gonna do some crystal shapes, and now that I'm looking right here, These look like some crystal shapes right there. I'd love to see what you guys create, so if you feel called to, please share in the group.